Horrible!
She drove me here. Elements that I am pretty sure she would really enjoy.
Pretty sure.
I was in the middle of a thought when you broke.
It was something about me.
Yeah.
It's always about
It's
Justine.
always about Justine.
Wow.
Wow.
Hi guys, welcome back to our YouTube. Today we have David with us, and also we have Justine, and my name is Destiny, and we are going to be doing our TBR for September. We like to do our TBRs with a little twist. If you watched our last one, me and David picked 3 books, but we didn't read the synopsis of them before we sat down. We just grabbed ones based on covers, read the synopsis with you guys, and then picked one based on those on camera. And then now this time we each switched. How else would you describe that? We all picked books
each of us picked somebody, and we picked books for them based off what we think they would like what books we know they've read that they like, that kind of thing. And then we're gonna present it to them and you guys, and then we're gonna let you guys pick ultimately which one we pick.
Yes.
Right, or read.
Yes. We'll be posting on Instagram to have you come to YouTube to comment which one we should do, or are they gonna do on Instagram?
Both? Why not?
Both. They're gonna be on both, so you can tell us which one you think each of us should read, and that's how we're gonna pick. We're not gonna get to choose ourselves, so that's gonna be a lot of fun.
Yeah, this is gonna be good.
Yeah.
I picked 3 books, 2 of which were arcs off of her bookshelf that I know that she hasn't read. Well, actually, all 3 I know that she hasn't read. But I chose them based off of information in the synopses that I'm pretty sure she would be interested in and kind of presses all her buttons, so to speak. And then one of them is a book that I have read that I really liked, that I want her to read, and I think that she would also really enjoy. So we're mixing it up here today.
Here we are.
The first one, and this is one of the arcs, so I have not read this, but it says, a young woman with dangerous power she barely understands, a smuggler with secrets of his own, a country torn between a merciless colonial army, a terrifying tyrant, and a feared rebel leader. So the reason I chose this book is because it looks like a really interesting kind of high fantasy narrative that contains a lot of elements that I think
That I love.
that she's going to love. As someone who has watched all of Game of Thrones with Justine, I read Blood Magic and Mad King on the back of this book, and I was like, I know this is gonna really do it for her.
I'm excited.
I know that she would really enjoy this book, and it sounds really interesting based on the kind of the longer synopsis, which I'm not going to read at the moment because it's half the page.
It's longer.
Yeah. So, For a Muse of Fire by Heidi Heilig. All right.
Book 1.
Book 1. The second book I chose is Hide With Me by Sorboni Banerjee. The reason why I chose this one for Justine is, again, Justine and I, we watch a lot of television and miniseries and stuff like that together. We recently watched Sharp Objects, and I know that she was really kind of in love with the Southern Gothic rural setting, but also the fact that it was very intense. It was a thriller, and so this book, I'll just read the first part of the synopsis. Says, in the dying cornfields of his family's farm, 17-year-old Cade finds a girl broken and bleeding. She has one request: hide me.
I would read that too.
And then and then it says, in this heart-pounding, deeply felt debut for fans of Jeff Zenter and Mariah Nijkamp, Sorboni Banerjee crafts a gripping story about the unbreakable bonds of friendship, the sweeping power of first love, and the courage to fight for a brighter future against all odds. So it sounds like it's really intense, kind of adrenaline pumping. I know that she loves that, and it also contains romance elements, which I think that she'll
love.
She loves love. The last book, the book is Less by Andrew Sean Greer. It recently won the Pulitzer Prize. This was a book that I really enjoyed reading. It's about a man who is an author, but not a particularly successful one. And he gets invited to the wedding of his his ex-boyfriend, and he, in order to kind of escape having to go to the wedding, but also kind of to escape his past in general, he goes on a trip around the world. He accepts all these invitations to go to speaking events and different conferences all around the world, and it's just about him trying to kind of outrun his past.
So I got to pick for David, and I don't know him nearly as much as he knows Justine. So my first one that I picked is A Ladder to the Sky by John Bone, and the back says, "You heard of the old proverb about ambition, haven't you? That it's like setting a ladder to the sky. It can lead to a long and painful fall. This is the tale about ambition." So
It feels very David because you quoted a proverb.
yeah. The next one is There There, and I read back at this one and I was like, yes. Well, it's actually on the inside, but it says, I'm just gonna read this first part. Fierce, angry, funny, heartbreaking. Tommy Orange's first novel is a wondrous and shattering portrait of an America few of us have ever seen, and it introduces a brilliant new author at the start of a major career. There There is a relentlessly paced, multi-general story about violence and recovery, memory and identity, and the beauty and despair woven into a history of nation and its people. He loves history. And in this one, I will be honest, I picked it because it is by Neil Gaiman. But he has talked multiple times in multiple videos, multiple lives, multiple outings that we've had together about how Neil Gaiman is his favorite person in the world and that his word is law. I'm pretty sure those were his exact words.
You haven't read this yet? It's shocking to me.
I have not.
That's so pretty.
It came out. I was in school. I've been in school for the past 2 years, and that's when it came out, and I just haven't had a chance to pick it up.
So, that honestly is the reason I picked it, because I saw his name and I was like, "Have you read this book?" And he's like, "No." And I was like, "That's something." But on the back it says, Sussex, England. A middle-aged man returns to his childhood home to attend a funeral. Although the house he lived in is long gone, he is drawn to the farm at the end of the road, where when he was 7, he encountered the most remarkable girl, Letty Henshaw, and her mother and grandmother. He hasn't thought of Letty in decades, and yet he sits by the pond, a pond that she claimed was an ocean, behind the ramshack old farmhouse, and the unremembered past comes flooding back. That's all I'm going to read.
Interesting.
Very interesting.
It's Neil Gaiman, so it's going to be.
Yeah,
good.
yeah. That honestly is the reason that I picked it, was because I know that he worships.
Really
He worships that man. So, yeah, those are my 3 for David.
We switched spots because my hair looks better on this side.
Yeah, that's true.
I have Destiny.
Mhm.
I picked books that I have read before because it's easier for me to talk about. So these aren't new releases. These are books that I love and that I think that Destiny will like based off of her interests, which include the Kardashians, Crank, and Eleanor Park.
Mhm.
So I felt like these were safe.
Yeah.
Okay, so first I'm going to show you guys this one. What's cool about this was a book in our box for April of last year for our Diverse Reads box. But it was before she worked for us, and I know she has not read this. This is The Upside of Unrequited by Becky Albertalli, who also wrote Simon vs. the Homo Sapien Agenda. I think that she has such a knack for writing incredible characters where you feel like you know them and you love them, and you are like rooting for them the whole time. And when they go through a hard moment, you feel like you're doing it as well. And I loved what she wrote. And you love Simon. I think you will love this. And it's 17-year-old Molly. She's all about unrequited love. She always has crushes, but she never pursues them because it means she doesn't ever get denied.
Mhm.
So she's just always had crushes. And her sister dates lots of people, and so she's finally kind of considering this. And what happens is, and she's plus size. So she says like she can't stomach the idea of rejection, so she's careful because fat girls always have to be careful. Then a new cute girl enters Cassie's orbit. Cassie is her sister. And for the first time ever, her cynical twin is like now lovesick. So before this, her sister has always been like just like love him and leave him and be fine with that. But now she's like in love with somebody, and because of that, this new girlfriend has this friend who's a guy that she kind of has a crush on.
Mhm.
And so it goes from there. It's really cute. It's love. It's endearing. And it was emotional too. Like I cried through this book a lot. This takes place in the United States when gay marriage became legal. And it happens through the book, and it's so
That's when I was
beautiful.
in high school too, so that'll be
Yeah.
very like
Such a good book. Okay, so and that's like a kind of lighthearted, beautiful book.
Mm-hmm.
On the other side of it, I went dark and everything because why not?
Yeah.
So another book. This is YA also. So this is YA. This is Bad Girls with Perfect Faces. I love this book. It's like a tale of catfishing. When Sasha's best friend Xavier gets back together with his cheating ex Ivy, Sasha knows she needs to protect him. So she poses as a guide online to lure Ivy away. But when Sasha's plan goes sickeningly wrong, and she soon learns to be careful of who you pretend to be because you might be surprised by who you become. It is so good. It is twisted, and because you love catfish, this book is amazing. And this book was our November book, again, before she started working for us.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping some of you guys have read this because it was in our November box, but if you haven't, it's so good, especially to read around like Halloween time because it's so twisted. It's so good.
Yeah, I started working here in January 2018, in case you guys were wondering. So,
They have it on their calendar.
The anniversary. They're like, oh my gosh, 3 more months.
Coming up.
And then the last book that I picked for Destiny is Mudvayne by Taryn Fisher. She's one of my favorite authors. I got into Taryn Fisher a long time ago with this other series called Love Me With Lies, and it's kind of romance, but kind of twisted because all the characters are so human. That's my favorite thing about Taryn Fisher is all the characters she writes have flaws. There's nobody that's perfect, and it's not like, I feel like a lot of female characters that aren't perfect, it's just they're not perfect because, well, they're beautiful and they're this and they're that, but they're a little bit whiny or this or that. Like, her characters have real flaws that are deep. And then she came out with this book, Mudvayne, and it's a totally different type of book for her. It's about a woman who's a novelist who wakes up on her birthday in a house in the middle of nowhere, and she's locked in there. And she doesn't know how she got there. She doesn't know how to leave. And when she tries to figure it out, she realizes that she is really, really in the middle of nowhere. And any attempts to leave would be like stuck in the wilderness, probably dying. And she has to figure out who put her there, why she's there. And it starts to allude that it has something to do with her past. And she has to kind of get honest with herself on her past. And that's when it starts to get really wild. This book is so good. I could not put it down. Every Taryn Fisher book that comes out, I literally read it on midnight. At midnight, the Kindle version, as soon as it becomes available, and I don't sleep until I finished it. And this is no exception. It was so good, and I think I have it signed. Yeah,
Oh, she
I like
kissed
that.
it, too.
Oh yeah, she kissed it.
That's so cute.
I love Taryn Fisher,
If I was an author, that's what I would do with mine too.
and she's a Slytherin, Taryn Fisher.
Yeah.
But this book is an incredible book, and it's also an adult book. The other two are YA, so I think it's a little bit different. I bet a lot of you might not have read this book. You absolutely should. And I guess keep all that in mind when you guys vote what you should read.
Yeah. So we'll just recap again about how you guys can pick which book we read. We just gave you all of our options, and then we will be posting. We'll post this video, and then we will post it on Instagram. You can either comment on this video, or you can comment on Instagram and let us know which book you think each of us should read.
Like, say you have read Bad Girls with Perfect Faces, and you really want Destiny to read it. You can post and vote, but then you can share with your friends or tell other people to go post and vote.
Yeah.
Because we're so excited to read these. And then maybe if there's a book that you're considering, if you want to read alongside of us, that's cool too.
Yeah. Yeah. And we will see you at the end of this month, the beginning of October, for our final of what we think about these books.
Yep.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.